This is Brayton Laster, driver of the Mullins Racing 03 Ford Fusion in the ARCA Menard Series, and you're watching Out the Fast Lane.
All right, we're recording. Here we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Out of the Fast Lane podcast. I am your host, Brady Hauser. We'll get to our guest here in a second, but first of all, we're back here with the podcast. I still have this cough, so I'm still trying to recover from that, but it is what it is. It's a part of that season. Pollen's here, but that's usually how it is in the summertime. But today's guest comes kind of close to home here. He grew up in Johnstown, and he works on NASCAR's Eric Jones's team for the Cup Series. So without further ado, Austin Pollak is here with us. Austin, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
How is everything going today?
It's been a nice, smooth day off, much needed after a rough day at the racetrack yesterday.
So getting into that, talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, there was a period of time where you guys were just caught in that car for like 2 minutes straight trying to get that tire out.
I gotta say that's probably one of the most aggravating things I've experienced in my 17-year career in this sport. It almost kind of felt like we won the Super Bowl when we finally got the wheel off after everybody from other teams coming over and giving us high fives, asking us how we got it off because other people had that problem this year. It just a part failure in a sense. We kind of think we have an idea of why it happened. We'll know more tomorrow morning when we get into the shop. The shop people have been looking at today. Us as road guys have Mondays off. So we haven't gotten to go in today. We've talked a little bit through our group chat, but just frustrating. Had a really fast car in Kansas. Didn't get the starting position we thought we'd have, but we had a fast car. We proved it at the end of stage one. Got up there with some strategy and stayed up there. We were going to have a strong day, and it's just unfortunate. It took us 34 minutes to change a right rear tire. So, but this group doesn't give up, never does. So it is what it is. You can't change it. So we'll just move on to the All-Star race this week.
So what did go wrong on the car?
Ultimately what happened was the new wheels are aluminum now, and obviously the single lug nut is still steel. And they just, when the wheel gets hot and everything expands, it kind of just locks it in. Usually before a race, we torque the nut to about 800 foot-pounds. And to give someone an idea, last year with the 5-lug nuts, you were only torquing those to about 75, 85 foot-pounds. So obviously it's much more. The new Paoli pit guns, they'll torque them during the race to about 1,200 foot-pounds. But ultimately that nut somehow in the process, we'd already done 2 pit stops before that, had no issues. Somehow that nut got torqued down even more. From our rough guesstimate, it's probably about 4,000 foot-pounds that got put on there. And like I said, we think we have an idea of what that is, what happened, but we really won't know more till tomorrow.
So what is your thoughts on the new tires? Because it seems like right from when Daytona started, a lot of drivers just were having tire issues, and that's kind of been a key factor this season, it seems like, is tire wear and tire issues so far.
It's just a learning process for everybody. This car is so new, and everybody, we race for 10 months straight, really. And then you usually have an off season, but we didn't even have an off season this past one. We tested all the way through November, December, even into January. NASCAR was working with these teams, letting us go places to test to figure out what we needed to do to put on a good racing package. And I think as a sport, we've really done a good job at that, because when this car first came out, you couldn't really pass, you barely could even drive them. So ultimately what it is, it's just everybody's still learning. People are starting now to push the limits on tire pressures. There's a lot of loads on these left rear tires, and ultimately that's what a lot of people are using to drive these cars through the corner. And it just, a lot of people are pushing the limit on that tire pressure, and there's not a sidewall anymore. like you used to have with this low profile rim. And if you just get down enough, the rim's going to pop it right off. And next thing you know, you're on the rim and you got a flat.
So when the next gen was just first released last year, when you first got a glimpse at it, what was your initial thought on the next gen car?
God, I thought it was an ugly car. Mostly, we actually didn't receive our first car till end of August. That's when we got our first car, and we only got bits and pieces. We still didn't even have the full parts and pieces to assemble one car. And our first test was October 10th, 11th. So we really had like about a month to put the car together. And that was just a struggle in itself because it wasn't like it came with a manual and no one had seen one of these cars in person other than NASCAR who had designed it. So I thought it was ugly. So there's still parts of it I don't like. It's probably the most difficult car I've ever worked on, assembly wise, even kind of just making changes. It's a very tight workspace underneath and inside. Wheel wells or even where the engine goes, transaxle goes, fuel cell. It's very tight, but it's doing its job. It's made racing tighter. It's kind of brought the underfunded smaller teams like Petty GMS back to the forefront of running up front. Whether that's not the only reason we run up front, but it's helped lessen the playing field. We all have the same parts and pieces. Now we can make things work the way we need to, but we get it done.
Mm-hmm. So now I really want to I got a couple of questions came in. I made a post last week about it, but I really want to know like your journey into NASCAR because you grew up in Johnstown, which is my hometown right now. When you grew up around my family,
that I did,
and now you're a NASCAR car chief. So how did you get? What is your journey, and how did you get into the level that you're in now today?
So it just started with my dad taking me to the races every Saturday night at Fonda Speedway. And obviously you're very familiar with Fonda.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, as a little kid, I just became enamored with it. And just that was the thing I looked forward to doing every Saturday night. And then it turned into Friday nights going to Albany, Saratoga and go and see the races there. And it just, that was the thing. Like that was my dad and I's thing, is just going to the races every weekend. And back then, like all the race cars used to be in the infield. And so you could see them working on their cars. You know, after the races was over, they'd let you cross over the track and you could help get in the cars if you were a little kid. And just, you know, I just loved being around it. I really wasn't into major sports at the time. I didn't even really like playing sports. So that was my thing. And it just kind of developed from there. And then in 2001, my sister had some friends on the Madsen Motorsports team. At the time, Brett Hearn was driving for them. It was a 358 team. And they let me come work on the car at Rolling Wheels. It was my first race working with them. And we won. And I mean, all I was doing at the time was just cleaning the car and helping change tires and stuff like that. And then the next thing I know, I was traveling around with them during the summers when I was out of school. And if I was in school, I was just traveling on the weekends, going to Albany, going to Utica, Rome, and working with Brett Hearn and Stuart Friesen as a driver. And then I graduated high school and I said, I kind of want to give this NASCAR thing a shot. You know, I think I could do it. And I came down here and got my first job on a race team in 2007 and been doing it since.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, growing up around Brett Hearn, obviously he's got 900 plus wins in the modifieds. Getting to learn from him, what is the best advice that Brett Hearn gave you to get into this level?
I remember when I didn't really go out asking him for advice, but I remember having a discussion with him about it. At the time, I was getting ready to move down here. He had already left our team. He was driving for the 4-star 4-car, and Stuart Friesen was an up-and-comer. No one really kind of knew who Stuart was, and he was our driver. But I remember talking to Brett about it, and because he had tried NASCAR way back in the
Yep.
late 80s, early 90s. And I remember him telling me it's harder than you think. You're going to be in for a grueling time. And he's right. It's not something everybody's made out for. It's a very grueling schedule for sure. I mean, 1 weekend off. Luckily, that's coming up in 3 weeks. I can't wait. But it's a lot of time away from home. It's a lot of effort put in. Just not only from yourself, you have to be devoted, but also from your family. Luckily, I have a very loving wife who puts up with my time being away and my grueling hours and lets me live my dream.
And obviously, so Stuart Friesen now, he's a local boy as well. He races for Truck Series. So you started out with him, getting to see him at the racetrack every week. I'm sure that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. When Stuart first got into the Truck Series, it was really, I think his first truck race was when Eldora got on the truck schedule. And it was really cool to see him there. And it kind of felt like, hey, this is cool, both of us being here at this level. And now I whenever I see him in the garage area, when we cross paths at the racetrack, we always find time to say hi to each other, wish each other good luck. Stuart's a hell of a race car driver. He's in the same boat we are. He just needs a little bit of luck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Bristol Dirt now going to. So you guys. I didn't get to talk to you, but my parents did. But first time next gen was on dirt. Stuart tested it, but he was the first one I ever tested the next gen there. You guys went in there knowing nothing. What did you learn from Bristol Dirt, and how was Bristol Dirt with that next gen car?
It was disappointing for us. Obviously, we did not run well. Our teammate ran very well, Ty. They had an excellent run. They were fast from unload. We struggled, which was kind of interesting because last year with the old car, with the Gen 6, we were much faster and we ran good. I think we finished seventh or eighth the year before. And we just couldn't land on it, and the track didn't take the way we thought it would, and we just couldn't get our finger on it. A lot of people struggled. Overheating was an issue with the way these engines now get their air intake through the nose. Once the mud built up, it was an issue. I think to make the racing better at the dirt tracks, for at least the Cup cars, got to take the windshields out, but we have to find a way to do that safely, right? Obviously, we could do screens and stuff like late models and modifieds and sprint cars do, but in a sense, the car we raced at Bristol actually is the car we raced at Talladega, so and ran so well with. But obviously, if you make changes and have to weld in bars and stuff, which you're not supposed to do with these new cars, then you can't take that car anywhere else, and that kind of defeats the purpose of this new car. Obviously, a dirt track, we all know, has to get the proper amount of water in it for it to be raceable. With the Cup cars, we can't do that because of the windshields, because of the air intake. We have to find ways, if we're going to continue racing on dirt, to fix these problems so we can make the racing better. For us, we really didn't learn much. We've learned what not to do if we do go back next year, which I think we will. But that or copy our teammates setup. But we have an understanding as a sport what we need to do. I think this year they were a lot more prepared than what we were last year for this level. Do I think it would help if we went to a real dirt track, a place that's ran dirt weekly? I do. I'd love to run Bristol just the way it is, normal, and then go somewhere else and run dirt. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, back to a little bit about you. So you started out with John Hunter Nemechek with their team. How did you get introduced to John Hunter and that team to begin with? How'd you get into that organization that kind of was like your first start into the NASCAR world?
Actually, I had worked for quite a few other race teams up to that point. And none of it was going good up to that point. It was a lot of struggles. A lot of teams had shut down. That's right when the economy took a tank, and a lot of places closed down, places I had worked. And I ended up on a start part team, had to do that for about a year and a half, and that was just no fun. That kind of sucks the life out of you. You're working just as hard as everybody else, and you're having to do that, and it's just no fun. Interestingly enough, I was working for a team that ran in the K&N E Series, had a K&N E Series car at the time. And John Hunter came to drive, and he was only 14 at the time, but I could tell the kid could drive. We went to Richmond with him, and I was really impressed, and just kind of talked to him and asked him if he needed help any over there at his dad's shop. And he just told me to come over and talk to his dad. So I came over. His dad talked to me. They called me a week later, asked me if I wanted a job. I took it. So ultimately, I kind of took a step down from running in the truck and the Xfinity Series I was at the time to go run late models with him and pretty much start over, because I wasn't having fun. I'm a very competitive person. My sisters would disagree with me, but I think I'm the most competitive person in my family.
We'll talk about that here in a second.
But I had to do a restart. I had to go and be competitive in a lower series to enjoy and get that fire back. And we kind of hit it off right off the bat. There was just the three of us, John Hunter, me, and another guy, and we were the late model team. And we went on and won a lot of it. We won 16 races, some really big races. I got some of those trophies right here behind me. But it was probably the best move I had made in my racing career.
Nice. So then, looking next step, you go to GMS then. You start out with the 25 team, which is Dalton Sargent and Timothy Peters at the time. Another team that was kind of struggling that year that you were in there with them. You guys won at Talladega. But that first year with GMS, was it a struggle jumping from a smaller team to the bigger team like GMS was?
It was, in a sense, that I was used to having to do everything. At Nemco, there was 6 full-time employees, and that was including Joe himself. And we literally did everything, and we worked 7 days a week, and we worked around the clock, and it was killer. And I did that for 6 years. I worked there, but we were the underdog every week. And we went out and we beat big teams, and that made it all worth it. And ultimately, Jerry Baxter, who worked at GMS at the time, was looking for somebody, and he gave me a call, and I went up there and actually started with Cody Coughlin on the 2 truck. And ultimately they did a team swap right when Dalton was leaving. And we moved over to the 25 truck with Timothy Peters. And for some reason, we just all clicked instantly. And we did 5 races with Timothy, I think it was. And I think our worst finish, I think, was 8th. We finished 6th in Canada, I think it was. Ran 4th in Vegas. Then we won Talladega. Ran really good at Martinsville. And then ended up having to work with Tyler Dipple at the end of that year because Timothy wasn't a full-time driver. He was just filling in. So, and then the following year was working with Sheldon Creed. And, but it was different because you're going from having to work and do everything, like, because there's not enough people, to now you have so many people, all you have to do is this. And it almost kind of feels like you're not doing enough because you're not used to that. Mm-hmm. But it was nice. But it is challenging when you change from one organization to another, whether it's big to big or small to big.
So Tyler Dipple's got another local modified racer as well. So you've gotten to work with a lot of local drivers making their way up into the NASCAR world.
Yeah, and that's kind of nice. It's nice to see, or even not necessarily see, but be around other people from your background in what you're doing, because it's kind of a breath of fresh air as seeing these people get into the sport, because you're not just like, okay, it's not just all the people with money, it's actually people with talent getting up into the sport.
Nice. So I did ask a lot of people for some questions. I want to hit you with a couple of heavy hitters here.
Okay.
So you've grown up in Johnstown. What's your best Johnstown high school story?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't necessarily, man, I really don't know. That was a long time ago. I mean, I'd probably say it's not really necessarily a story, but probably my favorite memory of being in high school was I went to Botech my junior and senior year, did automotive classes, and I really enjoyed that. And I actually met some of the people I'm still very good friends with today doing that. I'll be honest, I did not like school. I was good at school, but I didn't want to put in the effort. I really wanted more or less go racing or play with cars. So I didn't really have many friends in school other than the people I went to Botech with. So, but that's about it.
Okay, so you grew up around two sisters. Which one's your favorite?
Oh, I don't have a favorite.
I was told that.
Uh,
I got
I,
confronted Friday in the hallway about this. So
I love both my sisters equally. They are two totally different people, though. But I'll say this: all three of us are very competitive. We're all they're obviously into field hockey, and all my nieces and nephews are into all different types of sports. But we're all three of us are very driven people, and that's at whatever we do, and we want to be the best at it. And both my sisters have molded me into the person I am, along with my parents. Obviously, they're much older than me, even though we all have the same amount of gray hair. They'll probably deny that, though. But they tortured me as a child, so no, I don't have a favorite.
ooh. Okay. Any good Super Dirt Week stories?
Ooh, yes, I have so many. I don't even know where to start. So I really wish the Moody Mile was still around. It's probably
Yeah.
and the fact that we never won there, we came so close so many years when I was working with them from 01 to 05. It's ridiculous. It's probably one of my biggest regrets that I never got to win there. But my dad, when I was younger, back when the ghetto was still around, obviously, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was a card carrying member, and I got to hang out. We used to camp right there in the group, and I'd get to just as a little kid wander around the bonfires and the parties going on at night. I'm sure a lot of the stuff I saw as a little kid I wasn't supposed to, but
That's
uh,
what happens in the ghetto. What happens in the ghetto
exactly,
stays in the ghetto.
exactly. So I there's so many stories for me just getting on golf carts and riding around at 2 a.m. all around the
Hmm.
fairgrounds,
Hmm.
causing trouble to
Hmm.
just anything you can think of, from going, the other tracks during the week,
Hmm.
the midweek shows. It just I don't even know where to pick one, but I would have to say it, pretty much all my best stories revolve around the ghetto.
So you mentioned a golf cart. Did you ever wreck a golf cart?
Yeah, I wrecked a golf cart. Yeah, right into someone's van, and then we drove away.
What happened?
I
What
think
happened?
that's the first time I've ever and will
Because okay,
ever
so
admit
Jeff
that.
Kohler sent in the question about Super Dirt Week, and he says, "Lead in, try to get him to talk about golf carts. Lead into it."
So this is a total different story. Is we were on a golf cart. It was in the middle of the day. I don't remember why me and Jeff were on a golf cart. He was letting me drive. I don't really remember how old I was. I know I was way under the driving age. And we were just trying to do a U-turn, and I put a little too much gas into it, and I nosed it into someone's van, and broke a
Uh-oh.
headlight, and quickly put it in reverse and drove away before anyone could come confront us. But I do remember that.
Yeah, that was what he told me. He goes, "You ever interview Austin? Try to get him to talk about the golf cart, and then
I,
ask him why he wrecked my golf cart." But yeah, so your wife, She asked me a couple questions. Do you think
Okay.
do you think she is capable of working on a race car?
She is very capable of working on a race car, and I should have sent you a picture. I actually have, well, back when I worked at Nemco, and she had just moved down here, and she was very bored because she still really hadn't met anybody. I used to bring her to the shop with me, and I would let her clean the trucks from the week before and help do teardown because she had nothing else to do, and I would teach her, and she was actually pretty good at it. And I can't really think of anybody else's wives or girlfriends that have come and done that at this level. But she is. Now, when it comes to changing a tire, I don't know because I've taught her like twice. She denies it. She still can't do it, but she's very capable.
Well, that's good. So if if you're ever like when you want to teach if you're going to teach your kids something about racing, what is that one thing that you want to teach your kids?
Um, Man, that's a really good question because the answer is endless. The first thing and it kind of circles back to this past weekend, is you just can't give up. And it's whether you're doing just a simple job of cleaning the race car or changing oil, whatever you're doing, you can't just quit, or you're going to get frustrated with things, especially in this sport, whether it be go-kart racing or driving in the Cup Series. You're going to get frustrated at some point. You can't stop what you're doing and just give up. And it's just you got to put in the effort. And if you're willing to put in the effort and you're determined enough, you're going to get it accomplished. And that's just the biggest thing, is you got to put your full effort into it. And you can't make up excuses.
Is your wife a good driver?
No. And I'm not going to get into that. No, the answer is no.
Dang, you're just throwing her under the bus. She was hoping you were going to say something nice about you.
I could really throw her under the bus, but I'm not. I am the best driver in this family by far. So, in my speeding tickets and my incident reports back me up on that.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound too good. So here's a couple questions I like to ask. If you could race against any driver, past or present, any series, any division, who would it be and why?
So I have a few different answers for that one. I think mine kind of go from every series of, whether it be NASCAR. I'd love to have gotten to compete against Dale Sr., only for the reason of a lot of the veterans of our sport. And I'm not necessarily talking about drivers. I'm talking about other mechanics that are older that I've worked around or even still do work around. They all have Dale Sr. stories, and they're all awesome. I've not heard one same story. And they're just, he was a character and a badass competitor. But that's someone at this level, I wish I could have got to be around or competed against, because I think it'd be really cool. Sprint cars, it has to be the king, Steve Kinser, right? Because just he's the king. No, yeah, I know Donnie Schatz was going for that throne, but I don't think he's going to get.
I don't think he's got it. No.
If it goes to modifieds, man, I don't even know where to go with that answer.
All right, for me, jumping jack.
Okay, so I could totally get that, but I got to compete against jumping jack. I got to compete against Lou Lazaro. I got to compete against Dave Lape. I went Steve Payne, Alan Johnson.
They're still racing. Oh yeah,
yeah,
I know.
That's the thing. It's like, when I was 4 or 5 going to the racetrack, these guys were dominating weekly, and they're still going at it today, and it's so badass to see. So on the modified side, I don't really know.
I wouldn't mind personally trading a little bit of paint with Stu. I think that'd be pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. I think if I had to pick, I'd have to probably go way old school and say a Richie Evans back when he was running dirt, not only the asphalt mods. I'd have to say Richie Evans. Or even, you want to know, I'll actually throw it even further back. for my boss man Richard Petty when he was winning at Fonda
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
1967. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Richard Petty, you're working for Richard Petty, the king, 7-time champion. What have you gotten to learn from him?
That you're never too good to do anything. That man has so much class. It's crazy. If there's 50 people lined up that want that man's autograph, he's going to sit there and sign 50 autographs. If there's 150, he's going to sign 150. He's not too good for anybody. He makes the time for anybody.
Yeah.
I'd say probably the coolest part of my week is actually on Tuesday, because every Tuesday Dale Ingman and Richard Petty come into the shop. They do a walkthrough just to see what's going on. They like to talk with us. They don't go to the racetrack every weekend, but they want to come. They want to know what happened. They want to talk to it, and it's not only about, they don't want to only talk about racing. They want to ask me how I am, how my wife is, what's going on, how's my new house coming, stuff like that. Like, they're very personable, and I respect that a lot, and I think that says a lot about
And obviously, 7-time champion. Just getting to have him in the shop with you. I mean,
Oh,
that's got to be surreal.
The essence of cool, man. Sunglasses and the hat all day long, and don't forget the boots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Richard Petty every week. Okay, here's a good one. I put Jesse Punch on the spot last week with this one. If there was a racing Mount Rushmore, I'll let you do one for dirt and one for asphalt. Who are the 4 drivers on both?
Okay, if I have to go NASCAR, you have to go Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, and David Pearson. Obviously, 3 of those have to be on because they're 7-time champs. They're all, that alone says enough to put you on the Mount Rushmore. And it doesn't matter if one was in the playoffs, this playoff championship's championship. But I have to throw in David Pearson because the man made only about 500 and some odd starts, and he won 105 of those. So about 1 in every 5th race he was winning in his career, and he didn't even run a full season all the time. So, and he still had 3 championships. I personally, nothing against my owner, I think David Pearson's probably the most hands down talented driver that ever drove in NASCAR, just off that stat alone. 1 in every 5 races he was winning, is pretty spectacular. And then I forgot about the second half, dirt. Dirt, I would have, obviously, I'd have to put Brett Hearn on it. Most winningest dirt modified driver ever.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Kinzer, Scott Bloomquist. And the 4th spot, that would be hard.
You're cutting out just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I got to think about that.
There you go.
I would actually probably have to say, I'd probably say Jack Johnson, because that he went all over and won. He didn't just stick to Fonda or the local. He won all over. So I'd put Jack Johnson on that list.
All right. So for me, the 3 7-time champs, of course, Petty, Johnson, Earnhardt. I stick to more present day, but I'll put him on the dirt side, so I won't do it right now. But Tony Stewart or Jeff Gordon would be the 4th spot for me personally. Uh-oh. You're froze. All right. We got you back. Oh. You're froze. You were froze a little bit. So out of those 2, probably Jeff Gordon would be the 4th one for me. Dirt. I'm not a late model guy, so they're not in there. Jumpin' Jack, Jason Johnson, Brian Clausen, Kyle Larson.
All good. All good guys. I think when it's all said and done, I think Kyle's going to be up. When he's done with NASCAR, I think he'll definitely go back dirt racing full time, and he'll be like your man. You know what? I'm going to take Jack off the list. I have somebody I have to put on, even though I grew up a Jack Johnson fan. I got to put Kenny Schrader on the dirt list.
Oh,
because that man at his age is still going out winning dirt races, and he was doing it his whole Cup career. He was still doing so. I think he's a pioneer for short track racing. So I'm going to put Kenny Schrader on my dirt track Mount Rushmore.
And I mean, Brian Clausen, I guess we lost him at an early age, but man could wheel a race car. He ran IndyCar, he ran NASCAR, he ran midgets. He ran sprint cars. He ran everything. Won Chili Bowls.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of and I always loved Brian Clausen. So that's why he's on my list for sure. But yeah, that's a question I've asked 3 different drivers now, and Jesse Punch, now you. Every single one of them has to really think about it. So it's a good question.
It's a very good question. It's very hard because nobody's wrong. It's all about your thoughts and what, you know, it's ultimately going to come down to your background, what you've known or what you appreciate in the sport. And nobody's wrong on what they pick, except if you don't have any of the 3-time champs on the Mount Rushmore.
But uh-oh. Yeah, you're cutting out again.
You got me?
There we go. All right, we're back. Yeah, you were a little froze there.
Oh,
It happens. So, looking now, next couple weeks on the schedule, you ready to go? Uh-oh. Now we might have
yeah,
lost him.
absolutely. You lost me?
No, we're good.
You got me?
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit. There's storms in our area right now.
I got you. Yeah, we're ready. We had the All-Star race this week in Texas. That race really means nothing to us.
Yeah.
There's no points, can't get you in the playoffs. You still want to win $1 million, but we got to win our way in first in the Open. Or fan vote. So if you haven't voted, go on NASCAR.com, vote for the 43 Eric Jones, get us in the All-Star race.
Good plug.
After that, we have the Coke 600 vote, and we've had really good long run cars this year. So we're looking forward to the 600. And then it's our, we get a week off coming up, I think, after Nashville, which we ran good at Nashville last year. Obviously, different car, but Eric likes that place. So we feel good about our upcoming schedule. We got a lot of road courses coming up, and Eric's good at road courses. We finished top 10 at COTA early this year, even after having a battery go dead on us and the alternator dying. So we have a good schedule, and obviously once that week off is over, it's here on all the way out to the end of the year. So we just need to put the bad luck behind us. We definitely need to find some good luck also. But we just need to kind of get some good finishes, get some stage points coming up here, get ourselves into the playoffs. Obviously, we know we can do it points wise, but we'd like to get a win to get that extra security to make sure we're in. But we definitely can do it. We have a good, strong good group of cars. We have good guys and girls back at the shop that help us out, not just only us road guys. And Dave Ellens is a great crew chief. He's really helped turn this group around and got us focused on the right things we need to do in, week out. Where necessarily maybe we weren't that way last year.
What's your current favorite NASCAR track that you guys get to visit yearly?
That's hard for me. Obviously, I love Watkins Glen. It's my home track.
Yeah.
But I would have to say probably the favorite place I go, and most of the whole garage area is going to hate me for this, is Talladega, because no one likes plate racing because it's a crapshoot. And your car usually comes back on a flatbed. But I have, obviously the last one I got there was in 2018 with Timothy Peters, and my dad was there. It's the first race he got to see me win in person. And I've always ran good there. So I always love going to Talladega. That's probably like my favorite place to go every year. Also, the Boulevard's fun to go have a party on and see the fans go acting wild. But I like going there. I mean, there's a lot of places I love going. I love going to Sonoma. I love going to Bristol, Martinsville. It's a 2-hour drive up the road. Get to have some Martinsville hot dogs. There's lots of places I like going, but I'd say Talladega is my favorite place to go.
And you guys were really close this year to winning.
That was another. I don't even want to think about it. I didn't have my eyes closed, but it felt like my eyes were closed for that whole last 8 laps. The last thing you want to hear your spotter say on the last lap is coming high, runs coming high, and you're like, oh, here it comes. They're going to split us. Eric made the right move in that case. There was nothing he could do. It's just we're going to win a race this year, and it's not going to be on a plate track. We're going to win a race. I know a lot of people think that we're going to win a race and it's probably going to be a plate race, but we're going to win somewhere else because we're capable of it every week. I wouldn't doubt that we'll also win a plate race, but we have the speed, and have the determination to win somewhere else.
So we had Atlanta for the first time, new configuration there. The banking now is like a restrictor plate. So they were bump drafting on a mile and a half. What, as a car chief, I'm sure that had to be pretty crazy.
We kind of expected that going in, right? We all kind of knew from the testing NASCAR had done what was going to happen there. I think you're going to see a lot. I think Michigan's going to be exactly the same as what Atlanta was. Atlanta was very nerve-wracking because you're doing stuff you do on restrictor plate tracks on a much narrower,
tighter track,
configuration racetrack. And obviously a lot of people tore up stuff, including us, which was unfortunate because we had another really fast car there also. But we still managed to get a somewhat decent finish out of the day, even after being involved in, I think it was like 2 different separate wrecks. But it was cool in a sense. It was not cool. If you're a race fan, it was cool, right? Everybody loved it. I mean, the fans in the stands the entire time were on their feet. I don't even think one of them used their seats, wasted the ticket, could have just stood the whole time. But it was, for as a crew member sitting in the pit stall, it's nerve-wracking. All plate races are nerve-wracking because you just sit down and you just wait because it's probably the most helpless you feel all year long at those type of races because there's not much you can adjust on because it's straight out, trimmed out speed. You're just going to do some tire pressure. And you're just sitting there and you're waiting for them to hear, we're in it. And nobody wants to hear that. But at those types of races, that's what you come to expect as a crewmate. You're like, it's either coming back in one piece or it's not. So, but the fans love it, and the fans are what make our sport. So we'll keep doing it if they want it.
Well, I'm not going to keep you here all night. I appreciate you coming on the show here tonight. Is there anything you would like to know about the podcast or anything in general?
Well, first I want to appreciate, thank you for having me. I appreciate that. I had a fun time doing it, even though I know who the one question came from, sisters. But just let everybody know where they can find your podcast, and if you're on weekly and all that stuff. Like I had put out there that I was going to be on your podcast, and I know a lot of people that I work with saw my posts and asked me where they could watch. So stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. You froze again. All right. you cut out again, but I appreciate that. Anybody want to give a shout out to sponsors? I'm sure you got to do some sponsors, being car chief, but
I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave the sponsors to my driver. He's good at that. I'm not that good at that. But I do just want to thank everybody in my family, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my wife, also her family, because they're all huge supporters of what I do, and they make what I do much easier since I'm not home a lot, and their support is unconditional. Also, Ed Aarons and his wife Irene, they're probably my biggest fan. They watch every week. Ed lives up there, and he sends me a text message before every race every week, and if I don't get one, I get worried. So, I mean, for years now, he's always sent me a text. So just want to say hi to him and thank him also for all their support. It means a lot to me. I know our 43 team has fans, but at times I feel like I have my own fans because I'm up that way and what I do. And just anybody, I mean, if you put in the effort and you want it bad enough, you can do this too. And that's all I ever can tell anybody, because I didn't do anything special to get here. I put my head down and I've been digging since.
So I want to know a little bit about this man cave behind you. I've been seeing some pictures, and it's,
this is my office, my man cave. Obviously, I got some trophies and my Buffalo. I'm a huge Bills Mafia fan. Go Bills! But I have a mixture of trophies. I have my All-American 400 trophy guitar from Nashville. That would be my Snowball Derby trophy. I won with John Hunter in 2014. I think it's called the Outlaw 200 now, but that's a Victoria 200 winter trophy I got with Brett Hearn back in 2001.
Nice.
No, 2002. Sorry.
That's cool.
Snowflake 100 winner. Got my Iowa Truck Series trophy right there. And also, actually, right now, my computer's actually sitting on my other trophy case that has all my other late model trophies on. So that's where I'm coming from. But yeah, this is where I get to come. This is where I spend, once I get done with all my errands on Mondays. This is where I like to chill out Monday nights, just watch a little TV. Actually, sometimes I watch the replays of our race. Just to see if I can pick up on anything, if I see anything on TV that other people are doing car wise, something maybe I missed at the racetrack. And also it also kind of helps you learn, it's a good, just like football players watch tape, we do it too.
Yep. I'm looking forward to that one day I'm walking down pit road as a reporter and I see you. We can get that selfie saying two Johnstown boys living it up here at Daytona or something. So I'll be looking forward to that.
I have no doubt that you'll actually be doing that. I'll probably have gray hair by that. I mean, I already got gray hair going on, but I'm sure I'll have more of it. But I have no doubt that you'll be doing it. Everything I've heard, I know you do Glenridge. I know you do Fonda. You're going all over the place now. And everything I've heard, and I watched some of your interviews, mostly your race recap nights with some drivers and stuff. You do an excellent job. So I have no doubt about that.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin Pollak, the car chief for Eric Jones's number 43 machine, the NASCAR Cup Series. Hope you all enjoyed. Of course, I got to give a quick shout out to Swagger Factory Apparel. They put these awesome shirts. They made these awesome shirts for me. Mikey Jackson's been super supportive. Drivers contact him for gloves, hats, fire suits, pit crew shirts like this. You name it, he's probably got it. Tell him I sent you there. He might give you a little discount or two from me. And then Tad Parks from Parks Companies, big supporter of the podcast and has been a big help with us. Really a big help for us for this past couple months. And so we're thankful for him. We got new microphones because of him and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So thanks to him. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. It was my pleasure to interview you. And yeah, good luck this upcoming week.
Thank you very much.
And for everybody watching at home, please like, comment, and subscribe. Click the notification bell. You won't miss an upload. And other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.